Hola, y'all already know what it is. Your boy Yaakov, what it do? The outlet to reality, the holdest podcast in Vegas and Chicago. What up? This is the place where you want to hide from your drama, or maybe hide from your baby mama. Just kidding. But anyways, fans, thank you for staying tuned. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Ching. And today we have a very special guest who's a friend, a brother, who's part of the Crimson. Give it up for your boy and only Brandon. What's up? Woo!
What's up? How we doing?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm so happy you're here, man. I had Chris, Gary. Now I have you. The drummer is
Mhm.
it's a miracle to have the whole crew.
The trifecta. Yes, I love it. Thank you for
Oh,
having me.
of course, brother. Now I do want to share a little bit for the fans to know how we met. So I went to one of the performances at Red Dwarf, and I was really excited. I came with a lot of friends. It was like about 12 of my friends came. Most of them, my audience know from the Moisture House. I had a few on my podcast, and it was really cool. We took a lot of shots. We cheered. I told them, "Look, this is the best rock band grunge music you'll ever hear." They're like, "Okay, let's check it out." They all came through. We had fun. We were cheering. After you guys performed, like your last song, I told everybody, let's say one more song, and they did.
Yeah, yeah,
Wild, wild, fam, and it
it
was a
was fun.
good time. I ain't gonna lie. And I saw you were really cool, laid back. Like you were a fun person. And I like that. I already knew we clicked right away. So that was my first impression. What about you? What do you remember that night, brother?
Same thing, man. You were instantly welcoming. I mean, you had the band name on your chest. I already knew that you were a friend from right there. And yeah, it's interesting how people can just be chill when you first meet them. You know that you're a good person. Kind of like how I came across to you, right? And we were just having fun, talking, joking, like we had already known each other, having shots. Oh, you like this? You like that? Oh, awesome, man. Just like almost like instant family.
Wow, thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah.
And what do you feel like when you perform like that? Like, what's that feeling like? Because I bet because I see you're in a different zone. When you're like playing hard, it's like we
Mhm.
get a different Brandon. Like this is a different guy. I mean,
Yeah.
what's going through your mind that night?
um, well, this is my first band ever. I've never been in a band before. So being in a first band, I'm trying not to mess up, right? So I'm like, I'll be thinking with it, you're kind of getting the zone. When we first met, that was only like the first few shows that I played. So I was like really like trying to like focus and like not mess up. And not to mention sometimes because the music is so loud and the amplifiers are pushed away from me and I'm playing in the back, I'm trying to like listen and make sure that I'm locked in with these guys. So you're looking at a focused um person trying to like make sure that everybody's entertained, make sure that it sounds the way we want it to, because I'm an entertainer at heart. So like I want to make sure that like anytime people are listening to us, like they get the experience where like, wow, that was cool. Wow, they were locked in. Wow, they're proud of their music. Like I want them to feel like, wow, that was really cool. So that's yeah, it's just me being focused. And now actually because we play so many shows, I feel like I can let loose a little bit more. I feel like because I played those songs so many times, I feel a little bit more locked in and I can kind of just flow with it a little bit. So yeah, man, I'm focused. That's really where I'm at. I am in the zone. I'm trying to like be there. I'm trying not to think too much about messing up because that's when you do mess up. But yeah, I'm in the zone for sure.
I love it, brother. And I do want everyone to know a little bit about you. I think it's amazing what you just shared, and if you could talk about like if you were born and raised in Vegas, what's your hobbies? What do you do for work? Tell us, spill the beans, but don't forget the cream. You see, you see.
Sure. I like to share. I like to share. I'm actually from Rochester, New York. It's where Kodak Film was founded. Everybody knows Kodak, right? So my dad worked for Kodak. I grew up in Rochester, New York. I moved to Las Vegas, in 2008. I had just turned 21. 2 days after I turned 21, I moved out to Las Vegas. Never looked back. I love Vegas. I have family out here. Um, and so I moved out here to go to UNLV. So I have a bachelor's in graphic design. I've always been artistic. I've played drums for a long time. I started drums at 15. Never lost that, that want to be on stage, even when I was in college, like I was in a fraternity and I was the social chair. So I was coordinating events and I was trying to get with other fraternities and like trying to like plan parties and stuff like that. And that's what I do now. I'm a social media director. So like I graduated my bachelor's in graphic design. Then I started doing graphic work and stuff like that. Then I learned web design, worked for a helicopter company for a while. COVID happened, and then I got lucky. And then this girl I knew, she's like, "Hey, I think you'd be really great for this position. I don't really want to do it anymore. I want to be a salesman." So she's like, "Would you want to be a social media director?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. I just lost my job because of COVID." And so yeah, I guess I have some, hobbies where they're creative. I love music, but I also like to just do things like read and just hang out. I love chess. I play a lot of chess, So it's like I keep to myself. I kind of just like games that make you think. I love music. I love hard rock music. I love all types of music. Honestly, the only thing I cannot get into is country, but I have tried. I've tried to get into country music. I just cannot do it. I'm one of those guys that are like, even if I find a food that like I don't like the first time, I'll try it a second time. I'll try it a third time. And by the third or fourth time, I'm like, okay, I just really just don't like this, And so I really do try to like give things a chance. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm also like, I'm the type of person where like if someone likes something, I want to see why they like it. Maybe I'll like it too. So I'm very open person. I'm very creative, very open. I'm very accommodating. Yeah, I try to be everything all in one.
I love it. I love it. That's deep, man. And was there like someone that pushed you or inspired you? Maybe was television or a song or an artist that really made you wanna to being a drummer and getting into this. There has to be maybe something that kind of gave you that spark or inspiration.
Sure. There's two events, and I actually thought about this. I thought you might ask me this question, right? And I was thinking about it. I think it was two events. So when I was a kid, probably from the time I was like 4 or 5 years old, all the way up until like around when I was 15 years old. So I'm from upstate New York. My family and I would get into a car and we'd take a vacation down to Disney World in Florida, in Orlando. So like, and the drive was like 24 hours, so we'd stop along the way. But every year, my dad would play the same cassette tape, and it had all the classic rock bands: Eric Clapton, Leonard Skinner, The Kinks, The Cars, Rolling Stone, AC/DC, all these great classic rock bands. And it's funny because I don't really even really remember Disney World that much. I remember the car ride and listening to the music. That's what I loved. And there was also another movie. Have you ever heard of the movie The Adventures of Ford Fairlane?
No, I haven't seen it.
Have you ever heard of a comedian named Andrew Dice Clay?
No.
No.
Sad,
He is
sad
a
brother.
he is a he is a very outspoken, vulgar comedian who was huge in the 80s. He talks a lot about sex and different things like that, and he's just like a raunchy comedian that was huge in the 80s. I guarantee if you look into him, you're like, oh yeah, maybe I've seen this guy. Anyways, he made a movie in the 90s called The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, the Rock and Roll Detective. So he was a rock and roll detective in LA in the 90s, and he would be like a bodyguard for like big rock and roll stars. And in the beginning of this movie, um, there's this band called the Black Plague, and the lead singer ODs on stage. And while he's ODing, the band doesn't know what's going on. And there's just this cool part where the drummer is still playing and he's like jamming out. He's like throwing his sticks around. I was like, oh my God, that is so cool. And I was like, I remember going to school like the next day, like throwing my pencils around and like messing around. And like, I was like, oh man, this is so great. I didn't start playing drums for probably another like, I don't know, 8 years or so. But Yeah, that always stuck with me. I remember I vividly remember watching that. I think it was so cool.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. So it was the movie and it was your dad's cassette that really, you could say, build that fuel, that fire, that it
Yep.
was like, I gotta do this, this is my calling,
Yeah. And I've always wanted to be an entertainer. Actually, the first job I ever wanted to do, like as a kid, it was two things. It was a stunt devil. I like to be like crazy, and I wanted to be an actor because I always loved entertaining people. I always like to make people laugh. I like to make people like feel good. I like to be accommodating, like I said. So like I wanted to be an actor, but I never pursued that. And music was something that I connected with, like I just said. So I had the opportunity to play drums one day. I think it was like right before I went into my freshman year of high school, and I asked my parents like if I could play drums and start like taking drum lessons. And they're like, "Yeah." So they bought me my first drum kit. It was like this like $200 crappy kit, but it was like amazing to me. And they bought me drum lessons. I had drum lessons for every week for 4 years, and it was just something I did every single day. I would just come home, play my drum kit every single day. The weekends, play my drum kit all day long. I remember my dad even getting like upset with me because I'd play so much. Like they needed to buy me like drum mutes. They're like these like pads that you put on the cymbals and the toms and stuff like that. So yeah, eventually they got kind of sick of it. But yeah, so I kind of covered it up with those mutes, and that is what I absolutely love doing.
Whoa. I gotta say, you know what? When you mentioned that movie about the scene where the guy's playing the drums and keeps going, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
a famous movie that came out a while ago, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. I think it was 2012 or 2014. It was called Whiplash. I don't know if you ever seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so one of the best, for me, best movies of the year for sure, that time, where
Mm-hmm.
you have a young kid who goes to school to pursue music, and the guy who's his teacher is the guy from Spider-Man, the newspaper boss. Forgot his name, but
Okay.
he's so hard on the main character, right? He tells him in the beginning, like, hey, you know what? I think you should take my higher level, course, playing the drums. He's playing with a whole, like a big ensemble, right? And he's like,
Yes. Okay. Yes.
now
Yes. I
you
never saw that movie. It was a different movie actually. I'm sorry. I said the guy who went deaf. That was a different movie, but I know which movie we're talking about. People have recommended it to me, and I have not seen it. But I'm sorry. I didn't
oh,
mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
you're good, you're good. You gotta see it, brother. It's for me, it's one of the most powerful movies because you have a young kid who basically leaves everything, his family, his relationship, and pursue drums, like to do, and he's at the best school in New York, and he's pushing it, he's pushing, he's practicing every day. His fingers are bleeding because he's playing so hard. You probably
Mhm.
already know what he's going through, and
Yeah.
he's going into it. And the teacher, he 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 like he's so hard on him. He's like, play again, play again. That's not what I want. You know this.
Wow. You're the second person to recommend that to me, actually. And I still have not watched it, but I absolutely have to. I keep forgetting about it. I've been locked into the TV show Seinfeld for the last like
Oh,
2 months. I cannot stop watching it because it's just so easy to watch. They're like 30-minute increments, right? I do it when I wind down at night. And I don't usually watch too many movies, but like, yeah, I absolutely, it's on my list to do for sure. I'm going to watch that soon. Because I think
oh.
that is there like a spot in the movie where like he's like playing like real hard and then he like punches his snare drum and he breaks it.
So actually, he drops his drum set, his drumsticks,
Uh huh.
because he not to ruin it, but he had a car accident that same night for the performance,
Okay.
and he's playing real fast, but he dropped it like his stick.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I
And
see.
that made him lose the competition.
Ah,
But that's like a really like tough moment. But you're gonna see throughout it, like he's been put in different like tests, and at the end, he actually proved to his teacher that um he did become a better student throughout
mm.
the time. But like I said, man, it's one of the most best stories because think about it. When you follow your passion, this is for everybody. I'm be real with you. One of my good friends named Caesar is a pianist, and one of my good friends, he said, in the daytime, this is his saying, in the daytime I go to work, but at night I follow my passion. And it's so true because we got to pay the bills. I ain't gonna lie, I got to pay the bills.
Mhm.
I got to make sure I got crumbs, breadcrumbs, and I got to make sure I got everything. I'm saying I got
Absolutely.
steak.
Hmm.
But when you follow your passion, that's like the most for me. It's like therapy. Like it just makes me be away from our bills, our problems, and I think that's a beautiful thing. You just gotta keep that grind. I think if you don't have that, you're always gonna be that person like, what if I should have done that. Oh, I wish I had the chance. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it, man. I mean, a lot of people, they come home, they do the work, they go back to work, they don't do anything, and they become miserable because it's like those are the people who have regrets, right? Those are people who look back 20 years, shit, if I just would have done maybe an hour a day, you know what I mean? What if, what if, what if, what if? I think everybody who is not super successful where they want to be, they definitely look back. I know I do that. I mean, I'm 35 right now. So I wouldn't say I have regrets because I just I wasn't ready to have that mindset. You gotta be a little easy on yourself enough to say, look, that just wasn't who I was. Like I had the ability to do what I did, and I thought the way I did, and now I'm a better person. So it's like now I'll make those time for those things. So I completely agree. Where like you got your job, and then you come home, and then you kind of do your passion. Like that's one of the great things about having the band is I have that passion that I'm finally living out because I wanted to entertain. I wanted to be on stage. I'm not kidding. I have literally thought up until when I joined the band, every day to every other day, I'd be driving in my car to work, to a friend's house, whatever, listening to my favorite songs on the radio, and I'd be thinking about myself on stage. Oh, how awesome it would be like if I was playing drums to this. Oh man, what if I came up with that drum fill? Oh man, what if I did this? What if like always thinking about being on stage, always trying to live out that passion. So I completely agree. And if you work on your passion, eventually it will come to fruition because if you get good enough, whether it's art or writing or something like that, like somebody will notice. We are in that time when because of social media and because of all the access that we have to things, your passion really can become a career if you really, really developed it that way. Like if you work on it, it really can become what you want it to be. Kind of like with this podcast. This could be your full time job one day. Joe Rogan even said it was a total fluke that he became this podcaster that people didn't even know that he's like a comedian and all these other things. I just talked to somebody the other day. Like I was like, yeah, Joe Rogan was a comedian, right? They're like, what? I've only seen his podcast. Like so he's like either the podcast guy or the MMA guy. So it's like he said it's like a complete fluke that it even happened. But yeah, now he's the biggest podcaster in the world. So I completely agree with that statement. You got to do your work just like he did, whether it was being a comedian or doing, Fear Factor or the UFC thing. And then the podcast just became this thing that just exploded.
So true, man. So true. Now,
Hmm.
now, brother, I do want to share, man. No, being a rock star and being part of a band. You meet a lot of people, especially a lot of pretty girls. I ain't gonna lie. My boy, is touring, going to Cali this weekend. So I gotta know, is there any like, um, what is real quick, like any red flags, or maybe, yeah, any red flags that you have on a first date? That you're like, man, after
Yeah,
that, I can't no more. You know what I'm saying?
totally. There's a bunch of red flags, right? I think for anybody, guys and girls, but for specifically with me, with like when I meet girls, like girls who drink too much or girls who already are drunk, right? Like, girls who cannot stop talking about their ex, girls who don't talk at all and just have to like let me carry the conversation the whole time. I've been on all those dates. I've been with a girl who was drunk when I showed up. I've been with a girl who like won't talk and like I have to like carry the conversation because I talk so easily and so freely and like because I can get creative with the conversation to just go off on tangents because I like to have fun, just fun conversations. Like I will carry the conversation, but it's like, okay, I'm not going to have that happen again. Um, even I'll also say, a red flag is also if someone's been trying to get with you, to like meet up with you, and then all of a sudden they're like, I'll tell you, like one of the last dates I had, we were going to meet at this oyster bar. It's a place called Other Mama. You ever been there before?
Is that the one by Sahara?
It's on Durango by like, it's like Durango and Spring Mountain.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's like by a park over there, and it's called Other Mama, and it's a excuse me, it's an oyster bar, bunch of seafood and stuff like that. So she's like, "Oh yeah, I guess we could get oysters if you're interested." I was like, "Ah, shit, I've never had oysters before. I guess I'll try it out." Long story short, 8 o'clock rolls around. I'm there. I'm there early, waiting for her. I'm like, "Wow, did this girl stand me up? Like, what is this shit?" I was like, "Should I text her?" I was like, "What's going on?" Like, and then like it was like 8:05. I was like, "Wow." I'm really surprised this girl stood me up. I've never been stood up in my life. And I was like, damn. Like, so I was like, well, screw this. I've never had oysters before. I'm gonna have some oysters. I'm gonna enjoy myself. So, but she hits me up like 15 minutes after we were supposed to meet up. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I slept past my alarm. I don't know what happened. I don't know if you never want to see me again. And I was just like, well, I mean, I was like, all right, whatever. But long story short, weeks later go by, like we didn't even end up going on a second date. So I was just like, I should have just cut it right there. You know what I mean? So little things like that, I could easily see like that could be like two ways where like, yeah, I should have, in hindsight, it was never going to work out, or that girl would like become my wife. Yeah, it's like a story for like when you get married. Oh yeah, she stood me up the first night, and now we're married. So yeah, there's a lot of red flags.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
Strippers too.
Oh
Meet a lot of
man,
strippers.
here in Vegas is huge. It's huge. I gotta say, like for me, I went out during the pandemic, and this girl was real pretty, and I was really excited. We went out, and we went at the Green Valley Ranch, by Henderson.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful walk because you see you got lights. It's very like it looks like a date, like no lie, like the movies. So we're going there. She's looking really pretty, and it's funny because I'm already testing her. Like my mind is like, okay, let me see what she's about. So we get to the spot, one of the restaurants. I forgot the name of it, but it's like a bar. One of the security guards was there, and he was like really serious. And I was like, this is me and my girl. We're coming, and so we get in, and we're sitting down, and I remember something happened. Like I don't remember what the security guard did. I guess he was trying to give me a hard time, and I love that that like defended me. Like she had my back. She said something, and I was like, "Damn, this girl, she's I like that she's trying to help. This is a fight between me and this dude, the
Yeah,
security guard, but you're being nice enough to wanting to, protect your boo, even though we ain't together. I'm just
totally.
saying, first date,
Yeah,
I was like, okay, all right, I like that.
that's
You,
awesome. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And when we get to the restaurant, we're sitting down, they're playing music. She wants to dance a little bit. So I'm like, okay. And then I was like, all right, let's go. And so we start dancing. And I was like, all right, I'm feeling it. When we're eating together, she gets like I think only one shot and then one beer. I think one shot, one beer. I took a shot with her, then we took a beer, testing her. If she would have ordered a lot of drinks, then I'm like, all right, she's just trying to get my money. I'm gonna be honest.
mm-hmm.
But because she only got two, one to, celebrate that, that security guard is an idiot. We were able to get through. We
Mm-hmm.
took a shot to celebrate, right? And the beer was just a chill moment, right? We're eating, and I was like, all right, you know what? She's passing every test. Like for me, she's so far she's perfect, right? She's doing ching ching ching.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the last part is where she got me when she told
Mm-hmm.
me that she didn't have a job
Mm-hmm.
because at that moment I'm like, I can't be the person to pay your bills. Like, it's
Hmm.
too early. It would be different if you were my boo, we were ready together. You lost your job, babe, I got you. Let me take care of you. But if this is a
Hmm.
first day and you ain't got no job, there's a problem because I need someone who has goals and like has something going for them, or even if you just say you're a full-time student at school or college and you trying to get a degree, I respect that because you got something you're trying to achieve. That's me.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Um, Another red flag, especially common, and I'm sure a lot of people might have experienced this or may have yet to experience this, having men in their life already that maybe do or do not pay their bills. No, let me rephrase that. That do pay their bills, but it may or may not be sexual. So it's like, some of these girls that you meet, especially with OnlyFans these days, like they'll get paid, they'll have guys that pay their bills and stuff like that. And I've actually been with a girl like that before where like she was with a guy and he didn't even live in Las Vegas. But he paid all of her bills. And I was just like, I was like so attracted to this girl that I was like, like I was like, I don't know if it's a good idea, but I'm gonna try and make it happen. So, but again, that's like that was like I was blinded by the attraction I had for her, and I didn't recognize it totally as a red flag. I didn't see myself like falling for this girl. I thought it was just gonna be like a fling. But then all of a sudden, I started to like hang out with her more often. We were talking every single day. She was sending me like love notes and stuff like that. And she's like, "Yeah, I just gotta let you know, like, reiterate, like, this guy, he pays my bills, but it's not sexual. It's just kind of a thing I have going on with him right now." And that's just how it is. She had a lot of health problems too. So it wasn't just like she was like a regular girl where she just like, she justified it like, look, I have a job, but if I don't really have health insurance, so if I ever need anything, this guy pays for that stuff. But in hindsight, again, it's like I should have just ran because I became an issue. Like I remember like leaving something at her house because he wasn't even supposed to know about me. You know what I mean? Like, so like I remember leaving something at her house, and it was like a bill that I had that I just randomly accidentally left at her house, and he started giving her shit about it. And like he wasn't like a violent type, but he just from that point on he started giving her shit, being like, "Oh, you have this guy coming over and da da da," and I was just like, "Ugh, why are we doing this?" You know what I mean? And so eventually we did cut it off, but like that's another red flag too. I'm sure a lot of guys might come across that where the girl will be honest with you and say that there's a guy in her life that's paying her bills, or she won't be honest with you and you'll find out at another time. So honesty is a big deal, but I imagine a lot more guys come across that now with OnlyFans
Oh yeah,
being a big deal.
it's crazy, fam. It's crazy, man. Well, look, brother, I'm gonna have to wrap it up because it looks like the time is about to kick us out. We got like 4 minutes from Zoom. Let me say this real quick, guys. This is the Outlet to Reality, the holdest podcast in Vegas and Chicago every Tuesday. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Ching! Y'all know where to find me. I'm on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, the Outlet to Reality. My Snapchat's Take One Pass It, and my TikTok is at Yakov28. And brother Brandon, where can we find you?
Uh, you can find me on Instagram, drummer boy 702, and that is DRUMMERBOI 702. That is where I'm at on Instagram.